biggest challenge that I faced when learning Spanish was the amount of things you have to remember and then fitting it all together. I studied abroad in Spain. It was a little difficult and overwhelming at times. That was probably the most difficult, I would say.
The initial thing was probably the accent. I actually took French in high school, so I had to kind of lose my French accent when I spoke a foreign language.
I guess that so many of our students here come from different places. You might think like sometimes it's hard to find common things. It turns out that a lot of the content is easy to learn. For example, like American studies, we learn about immigration, and it's a lot easier for them to learn about it because a lot of them have immigrated and have different cultural backgrounds and experience with different cultures already. And just being in a different place and learning new languages. I guess the biggest challenge I face is from like different attitudes, thinking that it's harder to teach, but it's not.
If you think about the way that you learned your first language, those are probably the best tips for learning a second language. If you can be immersed in it at all or have a conversation partner. We have a lot of students at West who speak Spanish, and so if you could pair up with someone and just talk and practice, or if your teacher speaks in Spanish to you, or if you have people who know Spanish around at home or are studying it also, that's probably the best way. But a lot of it is memorization, and a lot of students like Quizlet. That's been really helpful for a lot of kids, or just regular flashcards.
Ideally, what you really want to do is just get totally absorbed by the language. I mean, if you can travel and get yourself surrounded by it, that's one of the best ways to learn it, and learn it very, very quickly. But that's probably not a reality for high school students. So when it comes to that, what I would say is if you really want to learn the language quickly, you try and get yourself surrounded by things and people that are Spanish and Hispanic and the culture. There's TV, cable TV. The other thing is you've got the internet. Listen to the music. Try and pick out words in the music. Different ways, outside of kind of the normal classroom, textbook type of situation that you can learn. And then, then there's all these other types of things that you can get involved in to be able to learn the language. A lot of people kind of have moved away from actually writing things out, and I think the process of writing actually gets your muscles going, gets your muscle memory. You have to focus a little bit more on learning, the English and the Spanish equivalents, and just that process of writing it out, I think, can be a helpful process of being able to learn.
I guess I'd say just to keep an open mind and keep trying, because it can be really hard. English is a really difficult language, so just keeping an open mind and keep trying. We do different units, so sometimes we'll learn new grammar and sometimes we'll learn vocabulary. So just trying to use a new word each day or something, or our new grammar term each day, just kind of being mindful of what we learned and trying to use that somehow every day.
Definitely staring at my book and just trying to absorb it, looking over my lists of vocabulary. That didn't work very well for me. You have to really quiz yourself or have someone quiz you and be active about your studying.
Well, I think the method that doesn't work is if you don't pick it up on a regular basis. If I give a class a list of vocabulary and they decide they're not going to look at that vocabulary until the day before the quiz, I think you're going to struggle an awful lot.
It's hard to learn if you don't write anything down. Like, you have to be organized and you have to write everything down. So even if you think you heard something and you're going to remember it, odds are you probably won't remember it. And so it's really helpful to write everything down. So that's probably the biggest thing, is if you just tell someone, we have a quiz tomorrow, or tell them a new vocab word or whatever, you have to have them write it down.
Buena suerte!